PGR eSports has often considered itself a trailblazer, not only in the super speedway scene, but on the overarching sim racing landscape. And tonight, as we continue the road to the second annual Great American Sim Race, once again, PGR eSports will make more history. Tonight, as we bring you more action from Daytona International Speedway, it is a first-of-its-kind event on a super speedway, as tonight, 24 of the best drivers from throughout this week's heat racing will go to battle in the first ever PGR 500 Pole Shootout race. We cannot wait for this one. It is so much fun to be with you here from Daytona. An electric night is ahead as we welcome you inside the PGR eSports broadcast booth for tonight's action. We are not far away from the grid. We will have to take things a little quicker than I wanted to. Before we get started tonight and I explain how this race will work, we do want to thank the sponsor of tonight's Pole Shootout race. It is the builder of the setup that is underneath these Gen 7 race cars this week. Team Watson Racing Setup, the official setup provider of the 2026 PGR 500. At Team Watson Racing Setups, everyone's already part of Team Watson. They just don't know it yet. This is a group built on elite setups, incredible people, and doing things the right way. No gimmicks, no BS. They're not ruled by the almighty dollar. They're committed to making themselves and everyone around them better. TWRS takes pride in treating builders, drivers, and customers like people, not numbers, and delivering some of the best, most competitive setups in sim racing. When it's time to go for the pole, you want Team Watson in your corner. Go to twrssetups.com to get a setup today. What a fun night of action we have ahead of ourselves here at Daytona. Yeah, my name is Dawson Weiss, going to be taking you through all of the action, and it's time for the Pole Shootout. This is the race that a lot of guys have been looking forward to all week long, and now it's finally come to light here at Daytona. These are the first and second place finishers from each heat race that will contest 35 laps, with the top two finishers taking the front row starting spots in Sunday's PGR 500. There are also payouts on the line. I'll get to those later. Let's get down to business. We have got to make it quick here from Daytona. The starting grid for the first ever Pole Shootout is set. It was selected earlier on the selection show on the PGR eSports Network. If you missed it, that was a lot of fun as well. And this is how they will line up to see who will lock onto the front row. On the pole, by virtue of his case selection earlier, James Bomar, the winner of heat number 1, will start from pole position. Kyler Wynn finished second to Cody Nagels in heat 9. He will go from the second spot here in the pole shootout. Row 2, Ethan Eckert, our heat 6 winner, will go from position number 3. It'll be the heat 10 winner alongside him. The co-owner of PGR eSports, Matthew Baker, will bring his NBG entry off the grid 4th. Row 3, it's the heat 9 winner, Cody Nagels, in the 6. And alongside him, it's Sean Conklin, the winner of heat number 3. We'll go from the outside of row number 3. Row 4, you just saw him a moment ago, D3. Daniel Eberhardt finished second in heat race number 12. He'll go from 7th. It's Kenny Reel, the second place finisher from heat race number 10, that will go from 8th. In row 5, it's Dylan Alt, the winner of heat race number 8. And alongside him, it's Jeff Merck, second for him in heat number 6. Back on row 6, it's Kevin Champagne, the winner of heat number 12. And Aaron Brown, the winner from heat race number 5. Back on row 7, it's Stephen Miles, the heat winner from heat number 4. And alongside him, it's Kyle Zittel, the second place finisher from last night's heat number 11. Row 8, John Ellis Jr. Ran second in heat number 7 a couple of nights ago. He'll go from 15th. It's Brock Whitehead alongside him, second place to Conklin in heat 3. Row 9, it's Jacob Dunn, our heat winner from heat 2. And alongside him, it's the winner of heat 7, Jackson Byes, in the 33. Back on row number 10, and the final 2 drivers as of now that will contest this race, Charlie Morgan, last night's heat 11 winner, and Tucker McClendon, second, back in heat race number 5. Housekeeping before we go green. 4 drivers did not make the grid for tonight's race. They are Hunter Hasting in the 44, Raja Karuth in car number 71, DJ Thomas in the 19, and Zach Davidson in the similarly numbered 19 machine. Those 4 are not on the grid tonight. The race length a little bit different than what you see there. It'll actually be 35 laps. It was changed very, very late this afternoon to increase the distance just a little bit. 100% fuel, no pit stop required, 1 green white checkered attempt should we need it. There is no, from what I understand, there is no fast repair. We'll wait and see on that portion of it. And of course, the TWRS fixed setup underneath these race cars. We have waited a long week of exciting racing for this. The front row for the PGR 500 will be set in a moment. Green flag is in the air in the first ever pole shootout. Onto the back straightaway for the first time. Again, 20 of the best so far this week now have one more opportunity to race to try to get onto the front row for the PGR 500. Kyler Wynn will lead them back to turn 3 in the factory setups 82, the red and white car. The former winner of the Podium 500 and the champion of last week's MRL 500 will lead the field off turn 4. He'll face a challenge now from Bomar on the inside, the first heat winner of the week. Back in action here on Friday and looking just as sporty as he did in that opening heat race. He's pushed by Ethan Eckert. Top lane is pushed by Matthew Baker, who would love nothing more than to put that coasting Thunder NBG Motorsports Chevy Camaro on the front row for a race he's done so much to help get to this point. Inside gets the roll, though, as the top 3 on the bottom are pushing very hard back to Cody Nagels. Now Daniel Eberhardt will join the party down there as well. Conklin and Reel bring up the outside to make up 4 rows of tandem pushing right now. Move to the outside. 3 wide for the first time. I wondered how long it would take. It's the NBG veteran Jeff Merck to the outside in car number 60. He'll bring the Heat 5 winner Aaron Brown with him in the 18. Strong week for both men so far. Looking to get onto the front row are both of them. Jackson Byes is going to jump up there as well. This the Subway Camry, the 33 on the outside lane. Lap 3 on the board, 33 laps to go. Again, 35. Longer than the 30 laps out back. Trouble. It was Kyle Zittel that got in the outside wall in car number 53 as he tried to join the fray at the front. Unfortunately for him, some contact. And up front, it's wet and wild already. Sean Conklin to the inside in car 54 on the bumper now of Eberhardt. Baker split out to the middle. He's going backwards to the help of Kenny Reel. Kyler Wynn continues to lead, but Eckert has made his way into the middle. Traditionally, those two are teammates. Tonight, none of the drivers in this session are able to communicate with each other outside of the race radio. Jeff Merck gets turned on the bumper of Aaron Brown into Baker. They all save it through turn 4. Again, these guys not able to communicate besides over race radio. And for some guys tonight, that's going to pose a brand new challenge. Kyler Wynn gets too far out in front of Eckert. Bomar will get pushed to the lead by Cody Nagels, running under the NBG banner this week. Also has run under the Nightmare eSports banner in recent times. Bomar managing lanes up front. He goes middle, back to the bottom now to Nagels. Wynn will try to nose to his right rear, jumping up the racetrack. He wants to lead back. Third lane continues to be Merck, Brown, Buys, and one more car towards the tail end of the field. That was I wanted to say it was the Whitehead machine. It is not. It is the Jacob Dunn car that rounds out that outside. Now Baker turns right. He wants a chance at the lead. He turns left on Kyler Wynn, but Wynn blocks him back to the middle. Baker, a little bit of an offset push here in turn 3, maybe some frustration. The sparks will fly. By the way, you couldn't tell under the lights for the first time this weekend at Daytona. Wynn continues to lead the way. Baker now goes second as he squeezed between Wynn and Eckert. He will now roll in the second position. Kenny Reel has driven forward to fourth. First time we've seen Kevin Champagne in this race. He turns left to the inside of Reel as Merck tries to grab the right rear of Reel and go back 3 wide. They will up the banking of turn 1. Kyler Wynn continues to lead the middle. He sees this all happening in his mirror. Middle lane continues to be Baker, Eckert, Reel. Merck, and his help has gone away just a little bit in the form of Brown and Dunn. He has to go back another couple car lanes as the bottom starts to reinforce behind Kevin Champagne. It's the McDonald's Mustang that leads that lane. Stephen Miles, the Heat 4 winner, and a guy I've had my eyes on all speed weeks long to be a favorite, not only to put himself on the pole, but to win Sunday afternoon's 500-miler, is third on the inside. Now Champagne going to try to go around Wynn. Kyler Wynn, this is expert stuff. Champagne gets to his right rear of the bumper of Baker as Wynn not able to block. His luck finally runs out in the blocking department, but he'll have the better push on the bottom with another one of his traditional teammates, Stephen Miles, in behind him, the Exalta Chevrolet. On board with Matthew Baker, you see just how locked in that 5 car is as he's right in the middle of the mix-up at the front. Baker pushes Champagne. Wynn relegated to the bottom now with his teammate Miles in behind him. Eckert rolls third in the middle. Now the middle starting to roll. Kenny Reel trying to get around Ethan Eckert. Baker turns right to block Eckert's run, and he'll get to the outside of Champagne. Back into 3, Baker for the lead. Kyler Wynn got up to the middle somehow as Eckert went to the third lane. Wynn fills the gap to push Baker, and now it's the co-owner and one of the longest tenured drivers in series history, Matthew Baker, to the front for NBG Motorsports. He'll lead on the push from Kyler Wynn. Wynn, not satisfied, tries to turn right on Baker. Jacob Dunn got to the center. Wynn says no, sir, and blocks back down, and Dunn relegated to pushing. 7 laps already on the board. 29 laps to go, and you see already how much more intense this racing is than the racing we have seen all week long. Kyler Wynn has been a force so far in this one. He leads in a brief moment of calm on the back straightaway. Wynn continues to lead. The third lane gets going again. Cody Nagels and Daniel Eberhardt got that one going. They are traditionally teammates as well as they're trying to get the third lane working. Here comes Aaron Brown to the outside, the Heat 5 winner. You saw the excitement when he won Heat 5. I can only imagine what we'll see tonight if he puts his car on pole for the PGR 500. Jacob Dunn has worked forward to second. He was the car pushing Wynn a moment ago. Now Kyler Wynn jumps up to the help of Aaron Brown and Jackson Buys in the center lane. Cody Nagels has joined them as a few cars have bailed completely out. Charlie Morgan, Tucker McClendon, and John Ellis are more than happy to spectate at the back of this lead pack. And of course, Kyle Zittel, if you're just joining us, got in the wall a few laps ago. He has lost the draft. We'll need a caution to get back in this one. 8 laps up and down. Wynn continues to lead the way. Again, a multi-time 500-mile event winner looking to put PGR 500 on his resume as well. But here's a move to the inside, Aaron Brown. Kyler Wynn could not block it, but he'll have more help in the center as Buys stays up in the middle lane with Kyler Wynn. Again, another pair of teammates in that middle lane. Brown will go to the help of Reel. Wynn trying to block down the racetrack and is actually going to allow Buys to his right rear quarter panel. So a bit of a mistake there for Kyler Wynn out back. Conklin gets split. Eckert to the center. He'll bring Eberhardt and John Ellis with him as Dylan Alt starts to get racy with Sean Conklin. Big push in the outside lane as those 3 cars start to work. That's Bomar in behind them. Up front, it continues to be Buys on the outside of Kyler Wynn as those 2 run 1-2 as of right now. Again, these guys cannot traditionally communicate, but again, with teammates in the field, you have to imagine the racer's instinct. They're going to be looking out for the guys around them, at least for now. Here's the move to the outside. Eckert will bring Daniel Eberhardt to the outside line with him. Ellis will join that party. Whitehead fills the middle. He'll go fourth behind Jeff Merck, who's emerged back at the front, as Buys will lead them off turn 4. With the bottom lane open, I would fully anticipate that the red line Chevrolet would take the turn left. Buys instead is going to turn up the hill and block Ethan Eckert. That's a bold move by the Subway Toyota Camry. Jackson Buys will lead this time by, and it's only lap 10, 26 laps to go. The outside's got the run here down to turn 1. Buys is clear, so is Eckert, so is Eberhardt, so is John Ellis, now almost in that Sim Seats Ford Mustang. Fourth in line, he'll bring Conklin to the party with him. Alt, Bomar in line with them. Eberhardt turns left on Eckert. He wants the inside lane. He'll go to the push of Jeff Merck here down the Daytona Super Stretch. They'll stay in the middle and top. Bottom lane is now led by Baker with Nagels and Wynn. Of course, Baker and Wynn were up front earlier, have been relegated towards the back. They'll try to rally the bottom here to turn 3. Somehow, these guys have kept it green for 10 laps. Bies went down to give Eckert some air. Eckert says, I want the lead. The AutoZone Mustang, Eberhardt wants the lead on the bottom. He splits Bies. Bies is going to get turned. Jackson Bies, Ethan Eckert, John Ellis in the outside wall. The caution's thrown. They all save it. But out of an abundance of caution for the field, the caution flag will give us a moment to breathe. And give me a moment to breathe up here in the broadcast booth. As, again, this race is living up to the billing. We said it coming in that this race would be unbelievable. Racing quality, knowing what's at stake, and being on the front row, and how important it is to lock your spot into the 500. And my goodness, what a first run that was. We'll start to take a look at what happened. I mean, you saw it happen live. There really isn't a crash that we can analyze here because all of the cars that got around saved it. But with Jackson Bies halfway turned around in front of the entire field in this race, and Eckert getting into the wall, of course, a no-brainer call for race control to put the caution on the speedway. It's a lifeline for Kyle Zittel, who had lost this draft. He'll now be back in the race with 25 to go. But up front, again, this race is living up to the heavyweight billing that we saw from earlier in the week. And I'll tell you, as we get ready to go back and watch what was going on with Jackson Bies and Ethan Eckert, I wondered, how some of the guys that maybe we don't traditionally see would fare in this race. I'll tell you what, James Bomar has put on quite a show in this one already. Sean Conklin has been up front. Kevin Champagne has been up front. Dylan Alt has been up front. So the guys that I wondered, Aaron Brown as well comes to mind, of guys that don't normally race in the PGR scene, for them to come in and be willing to run up front in a race like this where we know everything is 110% for 35 laps, that's been really impressive to me. I'll tell you the incident that got the caution thrown, you're going to see it here. Jackson Bies is going to try to block this advance by Daniel Eberhardt on the bottom as he tried to get on the nose of Matthew Baker. It's a heck of an effort from both of these cars, really all three. Jeff Merck's going to get a piece, John Ellis is going to get a piece. And all four of those cars all come together as Bies, again, tried to turn left and block Eberhardt. It was just a second too late. They all got a little bit out of shape and all got into the outside wall. Eckert and Ellis get the wall. Bies gets collected, so does Merck. But again, I don't think there is too severe of damage on any of those cars. You see Kyler Wynn, Jacob Dunn all scrambled to the grass looking to avoid this. You're on board now, I believe, with the Bies machine. He's going to block up to Ethan Eckert here towards the end of the back straightaway, and then Daniel Eberhardt is going to turn left, and admittedly it's a good move from Eberhardt, and Bies tries to get back down to the bottom line to block it. He is unable and gets turned just a little bit, but again, with that car halfway sideways, race control, I think rightly decides, okay, let's put the caution out. You cannot mess with these kinds of situations in a race of this magnitude. Jackson Bies continues to sit on the pit lane, and actually a couple more cars have joined him. Eckert is on the pit lane after his interaction with the wall. John Ellis is on the pit lane, and so too is James Bomar. So interesting that the 20 has taken a trip down pit lane. He actually has just rolled out of his box and is rejoining the field. So some damage repair potentially. Again, it is my understanding that there is no fast repair in this race. So for the guys out here, they're going to have to kind of make it work on the car that they have. And I just got confirmation that there is no fast repair anymore. So even more importance that some of these big moves could very well end the hopes to start on the front row of the PGR 500 on Sunday. There is more to this race, by the way. There are some payouts on the line, and if you've been watching PGR eSports for any amount of time, of course, there were always going to be payouts for this race. I want to start with second and third because there's been some changes to the first place prize. I can tell you second will get, I believe, $100 out of this race. Third will get $50. But there was an added boost right at the end by one of our title sponsors, Chris Blanchard. The winning pool for this race, and the man who will start on pole, is going to get $325 tonight, which is absurd to think about. You're already racing a high-intensity race to start on the front row, but now, now maybe it changes a guy's mind to sit and run second when it comes down to it. Instead of taking a peek out of line, you may have wanted to run second, just start up front on Sunday and lock yourself in, but now, in the back of your mind, there is a $325 bonus for winning. You got to imagine it changes a mindset that a driver can have on the late portions of this race to try to go for the win themselves, start on pole, and win a large sum of money before ever taking a lap in Sunday afternoon's race. You also got to think about the driver who starts on pole on Sunday goes on to win the race. We're talking at least $3,300 going home with that driver. Of course, $3,000 guaranteed to the winner on Sunday. You could make out like a bandit after 4 days of racing if you're able to win that race. Oh, by the way, if you won your heat race, it's closer to $3,400. Remember, a $60 bonus to that race as well. So a lot on the line tonight, more than just the starting spots. I think that's the most important portion. But again, payouts are available to these guys as well. So it'll be interesting to see what guys are willing to do. I think you've already seen a portion of what guys are willing to do to put their cars on the line to get up front to try to win the pole position. So we look forward now to the rest of this race. It will be 22 laps to go. Daniel Eberhardt and Matthew Baker will restart on the front row. Jeff Merck and Cody Nagels will restart back on row 2. It'll be Brock Whitehead back in the 5th spot with Kyler Wynn in 6th. Sean Conklin is 7th. Kevin Champagne is 8th. Jacob Dunn is 9th. And Stephen Miles runs, as of right now, in the 10th position. And unlike your heat race, again, 10 spots available. You could just get inside the top 10 and be okay with that. Tonight, only 2 spots, the most exclusive race of the week, not named, the PGR 500 on Sunday, which will only have 1 winner. Tonight, only 2 spots really mean much. You get a $50 payout for finishing 3rd, but I can't imagine that would leave the best taste in the mouth of the driver that gains that spot. 22 laps to go. I hope you've had a moment to take a deep breath, because we're about to get right back to it. Pull the belts tight. 22 laps to go in the pole shootout. Green flag back in the air, and Eberhardt is off and rolling on a nice shove from Jeff Merck in the 60, and he's way out in front here, over a car length difference between Eberhardt and the remainder of the pack. Bottom lane does not have quite as much push from Jeff Merck. Eberhardt sees that. Jumps to the outside on the push now of Matthew Baker in the outside lane. Baker is followed there by Nagels, and then Wynn, and then Champagne. Bottom side going to be Merck, then Whitehead, then Conklin, as Dunn tries to join the party, and out back, let's do it again. 3 wide, Stephen Miles in the Exalta Chevrolet up to the outside. Here comes Kyler Wynn to block him. Kenny Reel goes with them. We're right back to it. Reel is actually going to drop back down into the middle, as Wynn and Miles will tight side draft here into 3. Alongside those guys, about 3rd in line in either lane. Tucker McClendon bursts into the scene for the first time. He'll bring Jackson Byes back to the front with him. Kyle Zittel returns to the race now after losing the draft. He'll jump up there as well. 5 rows of 3 wide. Eberhardt blocks to the fence. Are you kidding me? D3 with the block of the night so far. It won't be enough. The push is too strong. Here comes Kyler Wynn. The 82, still familiar with leading in these races, will go back to the point in turn 1. Eberhardt still relegated to the middle. Miles trying to push himself clear as Tucker McClendon does a lot of work for them out back in the 3rd spot in line on that outside lane. Ethan Eckert has joined that lane. Dylan Holt has joined that lane. Bottom side only 4 cars back to Jacob Dunn. The middle now only 5 cars back to Kenny Reel. Bomar trying to decide where to go out back in that all yellow and black 20 for EPI. He'll drop to the middle here into 3. Jackson Byes splits Tucker McClendon. He'll have to drop to the middle, but the 2 leaders continue to run the middle. They're not blocking the wall. Here comes the run from Eberhardt. Daniel Eberhardt. He'll bring Tucker McClendon. No, he's going to split McClendon to the center. Baker will go with Eberhardt. Champagne shoots the bottom. Kevin Champagne, the McDonald's Ford, emerges to push McClendon on entry to 1 as the outside rolls. Here comes the Harris Chevy of Zittel. He wants a turn at the front. He's got Eckert and Alt with him. McClendon relegated to the bottom. He's got Champagne, Bomar, and Dunn in line. Middle is where most of the action is happening from Wynn back to Aaron Brown. Wynn continues to lead, but how long will that last? Eberhardt, big push on the outside from Zittel. Wynn blocks to the wall. Miles through the center as McClendon tries to rally on the bottom. Kyler Wynn leads back to turn number 3. Still 20 laps to go, 19 when they come back. Again, a very short sprint race. These guys are racing like it's already lap 35, though. And it's been that way since the start. Tight squeeze. Zittel, Miles, and Champagne, they all get it back together. Still 3 wide, 5 rows deep back in the field. As 4 cars actually are only in the middle, so it's 4 rows of 3 wide. Win, a big push up front from Eberhardt. Almost gets him turned. Eberhardt's going to take the lead. A little bit of frustration there from D3. He goes to the lead. He'll have Zittel with him, and Eckert reemerges at the front of the AutoZone Mustang. Big push to Zittel. Gets Wynn out of shape. He's going to stack that middle lane up back to Nagels. Big block. Sweeping block bottom to top for Eberhardt as he goes to the safer barrier to block Zittel. Eckert to the middle. He'll have Kyler Wynn as his push. McClendon's hung around on the bottom but can't get any higher than about the 6th or 7th position. He'll be relegated to 8th. Eberhardt down to the middle. Kyle Zittel to the lead. The best story in this pole shootout race is the Harris Chevy as he'll take a turn at the point, or at least battle for it here off the 4 with Daniel Eberhardt. Eberhardt's push is Eckert, then Wynn, then Miles. Zittel's push is Alt, then Conklin, then Brown, who all come back to the front. Outside Wynn's out. Zittel leads. 18 to go. Alt turns left. Dylan Alt to the inside, the Sunny D Chevy, but that leaves the top lane open for a monster run. Here comes Sean Conklin in the Ryko-sponsored car on the outside. The 54 the lead. He's got Aaron Brown with him. Baker goes with him. Merck now drops to the middle of the side draft. Kyler Wynn sweeps up bottom to middle to pick up Jeff Merck. As Eckert and Buys try to get the run going out back, they'll pick up their teammate Kyler Wynn up on the outside safer barrier. Alt goes to the middle, but that was a bit of a miscalculated move from him. He'll go backwards. Conklin continues to lead. Wynn tried to turn left. Baker turned left even further. Brown goes to the middle. He'll have Eckert. Baker's on the bottom with Wynn as he was able to see that move coming. Aaron Brown now leads the outside. Baker nosed out front, but it'll be Aaron Brown. Back to the point off turn number 4. Remember, a trio of traditional teammates lined up behind him, but again, those three cannot communicate as they normally would in a race. Eckert to the outside. He'll split Aaron Brown down to the bottom. Dylan Alt somehow has found his way back through the middle. I have no idea how the Sunny D Chevy's back up here. He'll pick up Aaron Brown on the bottom. Kyler Wynn trying to rally. He's got Everhart, but Everhart will split him to the wall. In the wall goes Everhart. Conklin, Champagne, Bomar come together. 4 wide off turn 2. How are we making that work? I don't even know at this point. Champagne gets through it. Conklin and Bomar will drop back as Everhart manages to get in out of that situation as well. These guys will have to line up, but with the guys up front side drafting so tight, I can't imagine it will be very hard. We go back up front. Jackson Buys was able to come through on the push from Aaron Brown as he dropped to the bottom. You're on board with Jeff Merck, and this is one of the most high-intensity onboard cameras you're going to get all night as he's third in line now. Alt jumps up in front of Eckert. That's the lead in the outside lane. The field kind of fractured here with 16 laps to go. Cody Nagels, the last car I see in the lead trap. A couple of cars are starting to try to get it back, but are really losing some time. That's Charlie Morgan, Kenny Reel, and John Ellis that have lost the field. Everhart throws it on the fence around Stephen Miles. Nobody goes with him. Champagne will instead go with Miles and Bomar out back of the rest of the leaders. Everhart will be relegated once again. Now, the good thing for those 3 cars up back, Morgan, Reel, and Ellis, is that they are together. But Morgan and Reel, the only 2 that are going to catch the leaders. Ellis has lost the draft. John Ellis is outside the pack, looking in here with just 16 to go, coming back to 15. We got to keep it up front. Shoot through the middle. Here comes Jacob Dunn. Sean Conklin will go with him. Champagne and Bomar were against the wall. Everhart gets into Whitehead. Brock White had a big save out back in the 31. He comes back up. Reel has to miss him in the 11, and that may slow up Kenny Reel's progress getting back to the front. Up front, Dylan Alt has taken the lead away, but not for long. Here comes Ethan Eckert. Last year's pole sitter, the Great American Sim Race, goes back to the point of the pole shootout with his teammate on his bumper, Kyler Wynn. Alt will get picked up by Dunn on the bottom. Miles in no man's land. Conklin, will he work with him? I don't think so. He doesn't want to. Baker doesn't really want to work with Conklin either. Baker to the outside. He'll take Everhart and Nagels to the wall with him as Eckert, Wynn, and Miles come together up front here in the middle lane. They've got 4. The outside now has 4 back to Zittel. But Jeff Merck is going to shoot the middle and go with Conklin and Miles as Baker gets their huge shot off turn 4. That is one of the biggest bump drafts we've seen given all week to this point. Ethan Eckert continues to lead. Kyler Wynn goes second. Conklin moves around Miles to the inside. He'll have Buys and Bomar with him. Zittel and Morgan arrive on the scene as he and Kenny Reel were able to get back with the pack. Jeff Merck, a little bit of side draft issues there for him. The 60s going back to Jacob Dunn as up front it continues to be just non-stop. So far for 21 laps. Eckert top to bottom as Conklin got the run through turns 1 and 2. He'll block the Ryko-sponsored blue and white 54 on the bottom. You're looking out back from the leader Eckert. Out back of Conklin. Buys moves to the outside. That's the Subway Toyota poking his nose out. He'll push Eckert. Further back, Baker goes to the outside, but Everhart hangs him in the middle and shoots through the center. He'll bring Cody Nagels with him to the back of Kyler Wynn. Bottom side is Conklin, then Bomar, then Miles, then Merck, then Dunn. Middle is now Eckert, Buys, Wynn, Everhart, Nagels, Alt, Brown, and Morgan. Tight 3 wide of the triangle. Merck's hung in the center. Somebody's got to back out. It's going to have to be Jeff Merck. Everhart to the fence as Alt and Brown got a nice run on the outside. Everhart back down to the middle in front of Nagels. He'll push Kyler Wynn as Kyler Wynn plays Pied Piper in the 3rd position. Everhart going to get him this time, though. To the outside comes the 90, but D3 has no help. The help is Alt. 1 car length back. He'll drop back behind Kyler Wynn again. Up front, it continues to be Eckert, then Buys, then Wynn. Buys to the outside, looking for the lead on Eckert. Now the teammates split, and Kyler Wynn will choose to push Eckert in the middle. He'll have no choice as Cody Nagels gave him a little bit of friendly encouragement there in the center lane. Everhart getting pushed along by Alt will have no choice but to push Jackson Buys. When they come around, there are still 12 more circuits, 25 more miles of this at Daytona. Jackson Buys continues to lead the way. Eckert to his left elbow. Everhart pulls forward to second now as we'll hit 12 laps to go at the line. Everhart going to get to the right rear of Buys. Shooting to the bottom, here comes Jacob Dunn. Nobody going with him, no quite yet. I thought Bomar was going to. He'll stay up, so too will Miles, not for long. Now Miles goes to the inside with Dunn. as the leaders continue to prefer the middle and top lanes so far in this pole shootout. Trouble. Around goes Aaron Brown. Off the nose of Kyler Wynn. He'll spin to the inside. The caution will stay furled. As Brown gets it back going, he'll need a caution late in the race, and Kyler Wynn might need one too. A big development. Kyler Wynn got so much speed. Dropped out. Out of trouble. Up front, Daniel Eberhardt gets turned. Right in front of the field. Eckert's in it. Merck is in it. More cars slide in. Charlie Morgan is involved. And more slide into the outside wall. Kyle Zittel, Kevin Champagne, Stephen Miles involved. That was the big one in the pole shootout, and it happens up front with Daniel Eberhardt. And another moment to take a breath, and really a moment to notice that I'm not sure any of those cars have much damage on their machines either. Again, no fast repairs for these guys, so they'll have to come get it fixed. You see Stephen Miles there, not a lot of visible damage aboard his Exalta Chevrolet. Charlie Morgan does not appear to have a ton of damage to his machine either. In the 69, we'll have to check on Zittel and some others that were involved in the later stages. I think that was Zittel. All the cars kind of running together as they've all been front to back to front to back to front multiple times in this race. And what an insane 25 laps we've had. We still have 10 to go. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's go take a look back at what caused the caution flag. This is after the incident involving Kyler Wynn and Aaron Brown from just a few moments ago, as this was up front. Daniel Eberhardt is going to take a left. I think this might be the initial incident from earlier. This looks to be the first caution with Eberhardt, Buys, and others, as that was Jackson Buys and Ethan Eckert going to the outside wall. And so this one was Daniel Eberhardt coming across the field. Kyler Wynn and Aaron Brown, by the way, crashed about a half lap before this, as Brown got turned from up top right across Kyler Wynn's nose. And right here, you see Eberhardt tries to block down in the same fashion, ironically enough, that Buys did on him a moment ago. Eberhardt tries to throw the same block. It doesn't work, and he gets turned. And then from out back, it's just calamity. Watch Jackson Buys go to the inside of Daniel Eberhardt here. The run's actually coming to the bottom. It's a good move from Buys, and Eberhardt tries to hang a left and gets turned, almost goes up and over. Jeff Merck, that's actually pretty big damage on his car. James Bomar appears to have some damage on his. You see Champagne, Dunn, and Morgan come together trying to miss it. Stephen Miles gets a piece as well in the 24. And Kenny Reel, he's on the brakes so hard he nearly spins that Jordan Brand Jack Shack racing car out trying to get on the brakes. There's damage to the 94, the 24, the 90, the 69, the 60, and a couple of other cars as well that were involved in this. You're on board now with Eckert, and you see Daniel Eberhardt there. It's instinct to try to move down in front of Buys. It was a second too late, maybe a half a second too late. Eckert actually gets a piece of this too in the 12. The most severe damage appears to be the 60, the 90, the 94, the 24, and maybe the 20 of Bomar that have the most severe damage out of this. You're on board with Stephen Miles. You're going to see the track get blocked, and you see Morgan tries to miss the wreck, and in the process spins down the banking. He gets into Champagne, and for Miles, there's just nowhere to go. You've committed to a lane, and Miles hits the Champagne car. There actually may be more severe damage on Champagne than I initially thought with that hit from Miles. So we'll wait and see on the 94 as to his damage in this race. But boy, we knew that was going to happen at some point in this race. The way these guys have been racing, you knew that kind of incident was going to happen, and unfortunately it's Eberhardt and Buys that spark it up with just 11 laps to go. I can tell you, Jeff Merck has called it a night in car number 60, so the damage proved to be fatal aboard his NBG entry, and his run in the pole shootout is over, at least as of right now. There are other cars that continue to sit on pit road. Daniel Eberhardt, Kevin Champagne, John Ellis, and Jacob Dunn all sit on pit road, so I wonder if there's some damage on Ellis from earlier as well. We know that he and Kenny Reel and Kyle Zittel had lost the pack, or rather, Kenny Reel, and there was one other car in that group that had lost the lead pack. They got a bit of a lifeline there. With 10 laps to go, we can all, again, take another opportunity to take a deep breath and remind you that all cautions this week are powered by the Nasra 6 Hours of Le Mans. March 7th, 6 hours of strategy, teamwork, and endurance only on the Nasra 360 Racing Network. And we now get inside single digits just like that. You thought they were racing hard a moment ago with 15 laps to go. Folks, they're now inside of 10 laps to go. Your time is running thin to get to the front and try to stay there. Getting to the front has not been the hard part in this race, oddly enough. With less cars on track, there actually has been more energy to some of these runs. than we saw previously in the heat races, and the third lane's been able to really get up and going. It's very racy. The bottom has also been very racy. So getting to the front has not been the hard part. It is staying at the front that has been the hard part, where oftentimes you'll see guys be able to coordinate with teammates. Tonight, that's just not an option. What that's doing is it's forcing teammates to have to race against each other in this race. You've seen it multiple times. My mind goes back to Bies, Eckert, and Wynn just a little bit ago, splitting up. Another onboard camera for you in this pole shootout. Cody Nagels driving tonight under the NBG banner, also the owner of Nightmare eSports, as he rolls from the 4th spot here for this late restart. 8 laps to go. Cody not unfamiliar with winning some of these big events and being there when it matters. Of course, the former ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl champ in the newly rebranded Redline Racing Network number 6 as he tries to put himself on the front row for Sunday afternoon. So we will re-rack the field for you. It will be 8 laps to go here at Daytona. It feels appropriate to mention there is one green-white checkered that will be used. I can't imagine that this is the race that breaks the streak the way the racing is going right now, but again, remains to be seen. There is one green-white checkered should we need it. Let's re-rack and restack for you as we get ready to go back green on lap number 8. Jackson Bies and Dylan Alt will be the drivers on row 1. I believe it is Alt that will have control on the restart. Ethan Eckert and Cody Nagels on row 2 with Matthew Baker and Kyle Zittel on row 3. Sean Conklin and Charlie Morgan will line up 7th and 8th. Tucker McClendon and Kenny Reel round out the top 10. 8 laps to go in what has been the most exciting race of the week so far. Back into the Simrat Market restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and away we go again. The belts weren't pulled tight before. Do it now. It may be your last chance. Conklin, bottom to middle, 4 rows deep in the field. He'll get behind Kyle Zittel. Jackson Bies, that's all the energy he needs to go right back to the lead. And out back, here comes the first move. Kyler Wynn to the outside. He'll take Kenny Reel with him, who jumps on his nose. First 2 cars to jump out. Kevin Champagne will go with them. Freshly repaired 94 up on the outside. Freshly repaired 21 of John Ellis goes with them. 4 cars on the outside lane. No move. How about the first 3 cars? How about the first 4 cars? The first 5 now back to Charlie Morgan. No moves for any positions here into 3. Bies continues to lead the way for now. Aaron Brown has the first move out of line out back. Here's the first one up front. Kyle Zittel to the inside, the Harris Chevy. Nobody going with him right now. In the 53, he runs on the inside of Conklin and will go backwards to the help of Dylan Alt. Brown is on the outside with Reel and Wynn as they try to get that run going. Eberhardt jumps up there now. He wants the help of Aaron Brown. He'll try to come to the front of the field with just 7 laps to go. Conklin almost turns Cody Nagels out of line as he gets to the right rear of the 6. Now it's Conklin to the outside of Nagels. Blocked from Bies up to the outside retaining wall. Good one there from the Subway Toyota Camry. And now it's Nagels on the push from Charlie Morgan in the center. The outside will have the roll. Not much push in that middle lane behind the 69 of Morgan. Bies is clear. Conklin is clear. Eberhardt is clear. Aaron Brown is clear. And Kenny Reel will get clear upon entry to turn 3, and he will make the first move. The 11 for the Jack Shack to the inside. Kyler Wynn opts to stay up. So too does Ethan Eckert. So too does Stephen Miles for now. Nagels will be the lead pusher on Kenny Reel as they try to get that line working. It continues to be Jackson Bies up front. Here comes Kyler Wynn. You knew this was going to happen. Wynn to the inside. He'll bring Eckert with him. Stephen Miles trying to clear forward to 3rd on the inside. No, he'll stay up here and go around the 12 and the 82. Big block by Conklin on Eberhardt. Conklin to the outside of Bies. Conklin to the lead. Bies now to the help of, again, one of his traditional teammates, Kyler Wynn. 1 car shooting the inside lane. That's Nagels. 1 car going with him is Charlie Morgan. Nobody else wanted to go down. Now Jacob Dunn and Brock Whitehead will join in as the middle and top continue to be the most dominant lanes. Almost trouble out back between Whitehead and Dylan Alt as Whitehead threw the door shut on the 47 of Alt. Baker drops back down middle from top. Reel drops back down bottom from middle to the inside now of Eckert on the entrance to 3. Bies gets hooked, or grabbed, rather, the right rear gets grabbed by Kyler Wynn. Wynn to the outside, but the better push is bottom side with Kenny Reel on the back of Jackson Bies. Trouble out back. It's Aaron Brown and John Ellis that go sideways. No caution yet, and with 5 laps to go, they'll get the 5 at the flag stand. Alt, Ellis, and Brown spin, and now the caution flag is out with 5 laps to go. So this one happened towards the tail end of the field. It was Brown, Ellis, and Dylan Alt that are going to be involved in this, the 3rd caution of the pole shootout to this point. And a bit of a late trigger there for the caution as both the cars had already come off the racetrack. But again, race control did not want to err on being any kind of reckless in this pole shootout race. They opt to throw the caution and will likely send us into PGR overtime in the pole shootout race. So again, 3 cars towards the tail end of the field. This almost happened a lap before with Dylan Alt and Brock Whitehead. It finally does spark up on the exit of turn number 4. You see Ellis there in the center and Aaron Brown. I think Brown is just following Daniel Eberhardt and happens to catch the right rear of John Ellis Jr. And Brown spins through the grass. I think this is where the caution is triggered, as he's going to come back up the speedway. He does get that car underneath him, though. So that is where the caution comes from. Actually, there you go. He spins again, and that's where the caution was thrown from race control. So it's Aaron Brown, John Ellis, and you saw Dylan Alt have to bail through the grass. You're on board now with Brown. Let's see if he's just following Daniel Eberhardt here, or is he trying to squeeze in line as they enter the tri-oval? I think he's just following the back end of the 90 of D3 and gets into John Ellis as Ellis arrived on scene. Severe damage to his car for Aaron Brown. Not sure about the John Ellis machine. They both have been able to roll away, but both will have to come down pit road for some likely extensive repairs to their two race cars. Of course, Ellis had just gotten his fixed, so he will have to come back down and get the damage repaired, as will Aaron Brown. You see the right front damage. If you're Aaron Brown, you got to hope that's not suspension damage. Again, with no fast repair in the session, if that is wheel damage or suspension damage, it's unlikely with 2 laps to go that he will be able to get that car fully repaired. Same for John Ellis. Dylan Alt, by the way, just took a trip through the grass. He was not fully involved in this crash. He just bailed through the infield grass, kept his car clean, and got back up on track. So he is good to go. We'll wait on Brown and Ellis once they come down the pit lane. Well, it's been exhilarating to this point, but we still do have now an overtime attempt coming up here from Daytona. You're on board with Aaron Brown, again, the Heat 5 winner. You'll remember back to the reaction that we saw out of him when he went to victory lane in his heat race. Steep odds now to get on the pole or row number 2. But again, all but 2 of these guys will race tomorrow in the duels. So you'll see a lot of them again tomorrow. And Aaron Brown very well going to be one of those drivers that is up front in his duel race also, should he not be able to contend for the win here late in the pole shootout. Several drivers will come to pit road to repair some damage here under this third caution. Eberhardt's actually going to take a trip down as well. Ellis, Zittel, and Brown, of course, we know have been involved in cautions. They will come down as well. But Daniel Eberhardt takes the left turn down pit road. Not sure what the damage could be on the 90, but he will stop in his box and assess the situation there for his white and gold number 90 machine. And you see some left front damage there on the 90. So the front nose of these Gen 7 race cars since the update back on Tuesday has been more sensitive, especially when you're pushing as hard as these guys are doing in this race. And I'll tell you, for Eberhardt, he's been one of the more aggressive ones over the last 32 laps to try to push. So no surprise, a little bit of damage on the more sensitive Gen 7 nose. The Chevrolet has been worse than the Ford and the Toyota, but we have noticed some issues with the Ford and the Toyota as well in terms of the damage incurred on those race cars when you get these slam draft pushes, which it provides a problem for these guys trying to race in this race, because all week getting prepared for this race, or all of speed weeks, the package was pretty dominant and still continues to be pretty dominant on that side, on that slam draft style, where you just cannot really have to lift. As long as you're squared up with the guy in front of you, you can hammer his back bumper and propel your line forward, kind of rocket your line forward. And so many times over the past few weeks, we've seen that strategy work. Now, as of the update on Tuesday, it seems as if the damage that causes is actually being very detrimental to these cars, and these guys are having to change the way they race. Here's the issue. In tonight's race, it's been such high intensity and so many late-ish blocks. I say late-ish. They're not all late in the terms that they cause a crash, but late-ish, that oftentimes the guy running second, he's also getting pushed as he gets on scene, and he can't just lift or he's going to get turned. So he has to then just drive through the back of the car in front of him and hope it doesn't incur a lot of damage on the front end for Eberhardt, unfortunately, there. Looks like he's incurred some front end damage. You see Matthew Baker's got some back there as well in the 5. He'll opt to stay on the racetrack here, though. And again, after last night with Josh Ball, if you'll remember back, the 33 finishes 3rd in his heat race last night with a car that might as well have been in the damaged vehicle area behind the wall. He manages to keep that car up front and finish 3rd. I think these guys are more willing to run with some damage. You'll see a lot more beaten up front ends on these race cars as we go forward through tomorrow as well as into Sunday. Kenny Reel has a little bit, I think, of splitter damage on his 11 as well. So a few cars up here at the front are seeing the effects. You're starting to see some visual evidence of how hard this racing has been so far in this pole shootout race. We will re-rack and restack. We'll remind you of the overtime rules because they are going to be the same as the heat race. As far as we understand, again, unless race control deems it necessary, there will be no more cautions. This will be it, and this race will finish right here. Again, considering the racing we've seen so far tonight, that's for better or worse. We will race back to the white flag, and then the race will finish under the green flag. And again, all results will be pending a post-race review. Again, race control definitely does not want to get this one wrong. If there's anything that happens at the front of the field headed into the end of this pole shootout. Remind you again, the top 2 finishers of this race will make it onto the front row for Sunday afternoon's PGR 500. The winner will start on the pole and receive $325. The second place driver will receive $100 and start outside pole. They will not have to race in through the duels tomorrow. Their spots will be locked up, just like traditional Daytona qualifying where the front row gets locked in. That is exactly what's going to happen to the top 2 finishers tonight. Third place will get $50, but again, I can't imagine that's much consolation if you miss out on the front row and still have to race a duel tomorrow. It has been non-stop action. It has lived up to every bit of the billing that this event has gotten all week long. We've looked forward to it, and it's lived up so far. And now, quite possibly, the wildest 5 miles of the week are about to go down in virtual Daytona into the Simrat Market restart zone. Green flag for PGR overtime in the pole shootout. Buys on the inside, Real on the outside. They'll race back to turn 1. It's a drag race that will be won by the Jack Shack's Kenny Real. Up the banking, trying to put the Jack Shack on the pole for the biggest race of the year here in PGR. He'll vault to the outside and to the lead. His pusher is a guy that I think is more motivated than almost anyone in the field, not only to start up front, but to finish there. It's Cody Nagels that is his pusher. Inside is Buys, then Wynn, then Eckert. Conklin and Morgan and Dunn come forward in the middle. The middle's going to vault forward here into 3 as Dylan Alt's trying to make moves out back. It's just not working yet for him. Cody Nagels clear for the briefest of moments, but Buys trying to get back to the inside. The middle triple tandemed up, rolling here off turn 4. Kenny Real will lead this 20-car field off of turn 4. White flag is up in the pole shootout presented by Bender's Bar and Grill. We're going to finish it right here. Stephen Miles tried to jump out of line, nothing doing. Both 2 lines still continue to be dominant. Who makes the first big move out back to try to win the pole? Kenny Real, now the emphasis is on blocking. For Cody Nagels, it's making sure, number 1, that you don't blow your engine, but number 2, that you make the move at the right time. Off turn 2 for the final time. Buys leads the inside, but the outside continues to work. Cody Nagels will have the gap. He can turn left if he wants to down here in turn 3. He continues to push on the back of Kenny Real for now. There's the left turn. Nagels turns Real. Real saves it. They're both up the track. Nagels crashes through on the inside. It's clarification off turn 4, and they're going to drag race for it. Buys on the inside. Kyler Wynn on the outside. It's going to be won by the man who's won the Podium 500. Kyler Wynn wins the pole shootout and will start on pole for the PGR 500. His teammate Jackson Buys goes second in a crazy, chaotic last lap turn of events. Ladies and gentlemen, I may not have a voice by Sunday. If this is any indication for what we're in for this weekend, if that was even close to what we get in tomorrow's LCQs, tomorrow's duels, and tomorrow's feature, an unbelievable pole shootout race. And who else to start on the front row but Kyler Wynn in the 82. Again, a winner of the Podium 500, a winner of the MRL 500, one of the winningest drivers in PGR history, a fitting pick to take the field to green on Sunday. He has locked his spot. And a big story for Jackson Buys as well. A heck of a run for him. One of the dark horse picks for the 500 this weekend will start from second. But all attention right now is on Kyler Wynn in the factory setup Chevrolet. As he gets the job done, it will be a smoke show here on the front stretch. He has won a lot in his iRacing career. The PGR 500 champion is one that he has yet to put his name next to. It'll be his best chance here Sunday as he is locked in. I'll tell you what, this burnout, it's taking him all the way down to turn 1. I'm not even sure he celebrated quite this much when he won the Podium 500 a couple of years ago, or the MRL 500 last week, and that was main events. I mean, this is the pole shootout just to get into the race. Kyler Wynn may blow the rear tires off of this car by the time he's done as he continues to celebrate down towards turn 1. In the meantime, as he brings this car back to the infield, we'll start to look at the finishing results and tell you where everybody else finished behind the top two. Of course, we'll start on the front row. It's Kyler Wynn that wins the PGR 500 pole shootout. He'll start on pole on Sunday afternoon for the feature. Alongside him will be one of his teammates, Jackson Byes in the 33, one of the young upstarts of the money racing community and a PGR winner last year. This has got to be his biggest accomplishment of his career so far. He'll go from outside pole in Sunday afternoon's race. It's heartbreak for Kenny Reel. He led all the way up until turn 3 and then made an unbelievable save at first to try to keep that car out front. He did everything he could. Unfortunately, finishes back in the 3rd position, and we'll have to run through his dual race tomorrow. James Bomar held his own. I'll tell you what, I think a lot of us, I won't say doubted James Bomar coming into this week, but questioned how he would do. He's not a guy that came into this event with a lot of teammates. He worked with Jacob Wilkerson coming into this event. Wilkerson went home in the same heat race that Bomar went to victory lane. And Bomar came into this race not really knowing a lot of these guys well. And I'll tell you what, he hung in punch for punch tonight. He'll go 4th and be a favorite in his duel tomorrow. Aaron Brown, I mean, that's the recovery of the week so far to finish 5th. He was in the picture at the end, but finished in the 5th position. John Ellis Jr. finishes in the 6th position. A good recovery for him as well. John Ellis certainly going to be in the conversation this weekend. Kevin Champagne had to race twice tonight, and he got more than he bargained for in his 2 races as he'll go from 7th. Stephen Miles finishes in the 8th spot. Matthew Baker back in 9th. And D3 Daniel Eberhardt finishes in 10th after leading at some points in this race. Kyle Zittel finishes in the 11th spot. Dylan All will finish in 12th. Charlie Morgan in 13th. Tucker McClendon in 14th. And Brock Whitehead in the 15th position. Ethan Eckert finishes 16th tonight. Jacob Dunn in 17th. Cody Nagels back in 18th. Sean Conklin in 19th. And Jeff Merck 11 laps down in 20th. The only car that did not finish tonight's race in regulation. Well, after a wild turn of events in this one, about as wild as it could possibly get, we'll await the rest of the top 2. I know we're waiting on Jackson Byes still, so while we do, we'll go back and try to take a look at this final lap, at least what happened over in turn 3 involving Kenny Reel and Cody Nagels. This was, again, very late in the race. The desperation moves, and I thought Nagels made the right one, and they bounced off each other a little bit. Of course, Kenny Reel, the obvious decision there is you have to try to block that advance. By the time he did, though, Nagels was already at his left rear quarter panel. They get together. I'll tell you, Kenny Reel did an outstanding job at first of keeping that 11 car straight. But when Nagels bounced off of his left rear, it knocked the 6 enough out of line that they collided a second time over in turn 3. It got both of them out of shape and then into the outside wall. You'll see it here. Watch the move from Nagels. He'll turn left, and he'll actually try to take Charlie Morgan with him. And as Reel goes to block, look at the first save. That's about as unbelievable as it gets. Oh, and actually, no, there was not more contact. Reel ends up losing the front end there in turns 3 and 4. He didn't even end up hardly involved in the crash. And as guys don't lift behind them, you can imagine that guys just pile in. Again, at this point, not many cars, if any, are going to lift on the last lap of a super speedway race, especially one of this magnitude. And a lot of cars out back pile in as Kyler Wynn and Jackson Byes roll away home free and then proceeded to race each other for it. Of course, off turn 4, we saw Kyler Wynn pass Jackson Byes. We'll go on board really quickly with John Ellis Jr. I mean, it's about as close as it gets to getting being the luckiest break of the week, as almost every car in front of him crashes and provides him an opportunity to get on the pole. Look at John Ellis. Still not lifting. He still hasn't lifted. He's not yet hit the brakes. He shoots the middle 4 wide. He shoots the outside 3 wide. Again, you know, if the cars in front of him had been involved in the wreck, that is an unbelievable onboard shot from John Ellis Jr. It's not quite enough to get him on the front row, but goodness, what a moment there for Ellis. He almost got back to those guys up front. So chaos on the last lap erupts. Wynn and Byes are the top 2 finishers, and we'll finish on the front row. It's only fitting. Let's talk to the man first that will start from pole position on the inside of row 1 on Sunday afternoon. A former Podium 500 winner, a former MRL 500 winner just 7 days ago, now puts himself in the best position possible to start PGR 500 weekend. It is the 82 of Kyler Wynn that will sit on pole for that race on Sunday. Kyler, it's Dawson in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Not too bad. This one, I don't even know the right word to use for how chaotic this race was. And I think when we saw the field that was in it and we saw the opening couple of laps, we knew what we were getting into. And throughout this race, the word I would use would be comfortable for you in the 82. Throwing big blocks, making big moves, cutting across other drivers' noses. It's something we've seen you do so many times. I think the comfort level and the experience came into play in this race and put you on pole? First off, just take me through how you got through this chaotic ending to this pole shootout.
Um, yeah, I mean it's pretty much mostly luck, huh? Kind of right place, right time. They all killed each other, doing three in front of me. Um, and I snuck through there and then took Jackson's area as soon as possible. I did almost blow up. I was like 300 on water temp, so I'm really surprised I didn't blow up pushing Jackson. So I made the move pretty much instantly as soon as I got clear. Um, yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward race. It was actually really good. I enjoyed it. Um, I think the no team communication was definitely a hindrance to most teams. I could tell their moves were sloppy. Like there was a moment where there was three teammates lined up on the top, and only one of them went outside, and the other two didn't follow, which I found really weird. So I think some teams struggle with that when they can't communicate. And our team struggled a little. Like there were some moments where didn't really like we were uncoordinated, I guess, but it all worked out in the end. 1-2 for the team. Me and Jackson are locked into the 500, so that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And, now we'll start to look forward. Obviously, you've won the pole. Can we anticipate more of this style racing coming forward this weekend? Was this kind of a preview of what's to come, not only tomorrow, but also Sunday in the 500? What do you anticipate is going to be the tone of these races now that we've seen what a field like this can put on?
Yeah, I mean, man, that was a really competitive race. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of three wide, which is good in this car. I think the setup helps a lot. The setup kind of makes the top and the middle more viable. Um, or the top, I mean, the middle's always been viable. I think the middle's the sharpest lane still, but the top could roll with the right people. I think we'll be in for an exciting race Sunday with the stacked field we have. So yeah, just looking forward to that.
Well, absolutely. Well, look, obviously now you get to skip Saturday and look forward to Sunday as of right now. And you're going to start on pole in the best position in the house for Sunday. You're going to bring the field to green, the PGR 500. What's your game plan going into that race as you look to add a PGR crown jewel to a decorated resume?
Just be there at the end. If I'm there at the end, I have a shot. I mean, I always am with these races. So as long as I'm alive in there at the end, we'll be good. But yeah, definitely get a shot at it. Excited to go racing Sunday.
Well, Kyler, obviously a win tonight in the pole shootout, a well-earned one at that after the racing that we saw over the past 35 laps. Before we let you go and start to prepare for Sunday's PGR 500, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Factory ups on the car, Jackson, getting us to that wreck there. All the teammates have quite a few of them for the future, so I'm excited for that. And Malik for spotting. And shout out to you guys for broadcasting. You do a great job. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you for talking to us. Skyler, congratulations on the win in the pole shootout. Good luck the rest of the weekend, and we will see you starting the field from Daytona on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, see you then.
Kyler Wynn is your winner and jumps out very quickly before we could even move him back down. Kyler Wynn gets the win. We are going to talk to Jackson Byes eventually. I believe he has been summoned back to a little bit of a get-together here post-race, so we'll hold off on that for now. And we'll kind of go into a bit of a holding pattern for now. And boy, I'll tell you what, Christian, downstairs doing our production work. I appreciate the work he's done. And folks, I've had to do a lot of last-minute changes in my broadcasting career, but I don't think I've ever had one quite like this. Disregard what you've just heard, at least from what I have just been told. The top three in tonight's pole shootout have been disqualified for illegal communications during this race over the last 35 laps. So forget everything you thought you knew about the PGR 500 starting grid on the front row. And it throws a wrench in the starting lineup. Of course, you just heard Kyler talking there. I mean, unfortunately for him, he has been disqualified at the end of tonight's race. So he is no longer your winner, and we have got to change gears a little bit here. So that means Kyler Wynn, Jackson Byes, and Kenny Reel have been disqualified from tonight's pole shootout race. Again, either for illegal conversations, rather illegal communications. I'm wondering if Kenny Reel's disqualification is for the incident in turn 3. That he came down across the nose of Cody Nagels and caused the crash. I'm imagining that is going to be the case there. So for the first time this week, we have a last-minute change that's been made completely official now by Race Control. So we're going to switch gears because now we have to talk about two different drivers. We'll talk about the ramifications of what happened tonight later on. We'll forget about that for now, as obviously now we've got a bit of a change up front. Well, let's transition, and we're going to try to see if we can find our brand new top two, because that means that your new top two starting spots for the PGR 500, the winner as of right now is James Bomar in the 18, and Aaron Brown would start outside of him in second, as the top three are made official by race control. So an unbelievable turn of events here, and we'll start to transition into some other post-race interviews here. Again, we'll talk about the ramifications, and we'll get into kind of more talk about what happened tonight during this race at the end. But I obviously want to give James Bomar and Aaron Brown the proper spotlight here, as they'll be the men starting on the front row for the PGR 500. So let's start first with the man who will actually start on pole for the PGR 500, and what a story this is going to be, because James Bomar came into this week as a guy that ran well in the super speedways, but we had not seen yet on PGR's side of competition. He just had not come in to the money racing, if you will, side of the community, and now he has come in, and not only has he won his heat race, but now he has been credited as the winner of the Pole Shootout and will get to bring the field to green. What an accomplishment this week for James Bomar, and admittedly, what a roller coaster of emotions I'm sure this is, because a moment ago, it looked like he had finished fourth. Now, all of a sudden, he is up front and will bring the field to green. A total roller coaster, and let's see what he's got to think about it, because I cannot imagine what the emotions are right now for the driver of the 20. James Bomar, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, some craziness here has thrown me off guard and has thrown all of us completely for a loop. Obviously, the call has come down now that you have been made the winner of the pole shootout. So now we'll transition completely into a brand new pole sitter. So we'll start first with your just initial reaction. This has got to be a roller coaster for you at the end of this race. You run fourth. The first initial thought is, okay, I'm not going to be on the front row. I got to race through a duel. 5 minutes later, that changes. What is going through your mind right now through this entire roller coaster of a post race?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's going through my mind. I said I was shaking bad when I won the heat race. Now I'm shaking really bad right now. It's an entirely different feel. I'm on top of the world right now.
Well, look, you came into PGR this week. Obviously, we know the pedigree on super speedways, but we really had not seen you over on the PGR eSports side of things. And you come in this week, and again, you took us all by storm in Heat 1, coming home with the victory that puts you in this race. And in that race, we kind of started to think, okay, now he's on this landscape of potential favorites for the 500 on Sunday afternoon. You come into this race, this obviously is a whole different animal from the heat races. Obviously, we saw 35 laps of just 110% intensity racing. Now, though, you've gotten a couple chances to get some PGR competition under your belt. How's it been to come in and race against some of the best on the super speedways? What's your experience been like so far in the PGR 500? I got to imagine it's a good one.
It's been a lot different. I've never had super shooter racing like this. This has been very intense. Every lap has been intense. Tonight has been really intense. The car felt like it raced so much different than what it did on Monday. And it's just, I had to get used to it. I started pole and immediately fell to the back. I was not expecting it. The side drops is there again, and I was just not expecting it. So I'm going to be honest, coming to like lap 20, I thought I was out of it because I was in the back, kept getting damage on my nose, but that big crash in the final lap, it put me up there in what I thought it was going to be fourth place, but ended up being the win. I don't know. It's a whole range of emotions right now, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel right now.
Well, now obviously you have to completely change the mindset. Again, as of about 8 minutes ago, you were getting ready to run a dual race tomorrow. Now you get to kick back a little bit tomorrow, and you'll bring the field to green in the biggest super speedway race of the year on Sunday afternoon. I know it's got to be hard to form a game plan right now, but do you have any kind of game plan for Sunday, any kind of prep you're going to do between now and then to get you ready for 500 miles to try to win an even bigger prize on Sunday afternoon?
I think my biggest prep game right now is, since I'm starting pole tomorrow in the duels because I want a heat race. I want to try to stay up front as long as I can. Tomorrow is going to be a practice race for me. Because I'm not racing for anything. Because I locked myself in, so I'm no longer racing for anything. So I'm going to try. I'm not going to say I'm not going to wreck the field. I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to throw blocks that shouldn't be thrown. But I'm going to try to control lanes as much as I can. and hopefully take that into Sunday with that experience and be able to say, oh, I can get to the end. I can win this race. So I need to get through to tomorrow, see how I can do, and that'll go off. I'll base that off of how I can do on Sunday.
Well, obviously tonight, a bit of a roller coaster, an intense race, a constant action race. Initially, it looked like you were going to be fourth. Now, of course, you've been credited with the victory, and now you'll get to start on pole. But you get a win here, and you get to race the dual race tomorrow. You talked about starting up front in that race. So before we let you go to prep for that, and of course to prep to bring the field to green on Sunday afternoon, I do want to give you one more opportunity. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Once again, thank you ECE, thank you PBR, thank you EPI. Shout out Jacob Wilkerson for being a great spotter. He helped me a lot during that race, and just shout out all my guys. Shout out Adam Garza. Shout out Chris Downey. Shout out Austin Doran. Shout out all of them.
Well, James, appreciate you talking to us here for a moment after what has been a complete and total topsy-turvy few minutes for you. Congratulations on winning the pole for the PGR 500. Good luck tomorrow in your dual race, as well as the 500 on Sunday. We'll likely be talking to you before the race on Sunday afternoon. Till then, we'll see you then. Congrats on the win. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
James Bomar has, and you heard there, and I think we're going to resonate with this. We'll talk about this after we talk to the man who'll start second. But you heard, I don't even know how to feel right now. I imagine we're going to get that feeling from the second place finisher as well. And that just resonates with me, just what we've seen go down here at the end of this pole shootout race. Let's get to the man who will start outside pole, another heat winner, a winner of heat number 5 earlier in the week, and will now start second in the PGR 500 in the same scenario as James Bomar. I have to imagine that Aaron Brown in the 018 is going to be, again, all over the place emotionally as we get ready to talk to him and get his thoughts on, again, a crazy race, but also now an unprecedented turn of events here post-race. It's Aaron Brown in the 018, our second place finisher. Aaron, it's Dawson in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, a roller coaster here over the past couple of minutes as we go from a high-intensity race, a crash on the final lap. It looks initially like you've gone 5th, and it's not going to quite be enough to put you on the front row. But now a post-race call has given you an opportunity to start second in the PGR 500 on Sunday. I asked James this question. I'll ask the same question to you here. Just the initial reaction, what's going through your mind after the call post-race, and it's kind of setting in that you'll start outside pole on Sunday?
Yeah. I honestly, I had no idea what's going on. I knew that wreck before. I got 13 minutes of damage, so I knew I had no chance unless there's a big one, and I got the big one. I went in 5th. I was hoping maybe a couple of them got penalties. Maybe lucky into 3rd, maybe get a little bit of extra prize money. But yeah, then all of a sudden I'm getting dragged into the. I'm asking in the Discord and also in the sim. Is this still official? I knew they did say Kenny was the cause of that wreck, so I knew I was 4th. But then all of a sudden I get dragged into the other Discord chat, and they say share my screen for the chat. So, and then I was cleared for that, and they said I'm outside pole. So that just came to a shock out of nowhere. I don't know, but I mean, hey, I'll take it. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll keep second outside pole, but that was the goal here tonight. At least to get outside pole, lock into tomorrow. So lock into Sunday. So it's shocking. I don't really. I still don't. It's still time to process, but I was excited when it happened. I jumped up out of my chair, and but I'm still in shock. I'm not sure what happened, but I mean, I'll take it.
Well, let's look to the racing tonight, because I think, we looked forward to this race all week, and as we saw the field start to shape up through the heat races, and we just saw big name after big name get their way into this field. Of course, you get in by way of your win in heat number 5 back on Tuesday. So, coming into this race, we knew how intense it was going to be. We'd heard some of the drivers talking about how crazy this racing was going to be. But what was it like in the race car with the big moves, big blocks, some of the big time sweeping moves that we saw guys make? What was that like inside the cockpit here tonight in the pole shootout?
Yeah, it was crazy. It kind of just felt like chaos a lot of the times. In the heats, it kind of felt the same way. The lines got moving. And I felt like I got the outside. I was on the outside, and I get up on the outside, and then I'll start to get hot, and then okay, then I have to move because I'm trying to back off, trying to get a little bit of air, but it's just everyone's just pushing. It's just feels so cutthroat tonight. Everyone's just trying to race up front. So then when it gets hot, when the car gets hot, I just gotta pull out of line, hope for something, hope for help. And it never happened. It never came. I just get shuffled back to the bottom and shuffled all the way to the tail end of the field. It was just up down all night long. And just trying to shuffle out, get clean air if you're getting hot, and then if you're not getting hot, then just try and push, at least stay second in line or something. Try and get up front, try and stay clear of at least the lanes. But it just feels so cutthroat. Everyone's just shoving and trying to get everything they can out of it tonight. And that's what happened. And unfortunately, that last wreck. I mean, I was trying to get hot, try to back out, and just couldn't. It just everyone kept shoving. I was getting hot. I was worried it was gonna blow up, but then ended up getting coming down a little bit and turned myself into the outside wall, which unfortunately gave me pretty much killed my chances at 13 minutes of damage. But anything else? You had the big one on the last lap, and all of a sudden I'm here in second after penalties. So, I don't know, but it was definitely wild out there tonight. It's probably going to see that, especially coming down in the later parts of the 500 on Sunday, and especially in the duels tomorrow for everyone's racing in for those final few spots.
We get to race a dual race tomorrow, but obviously we start to look forward to the PGR 500 for you now. You'll start outside pole. I know it still really hasn't processed yet, but have you thought about your game plan at all for not only tomorrow, but for the 500 miler on Sunday afternoon?
Main thing tomorrow. Edward Sanchez, my friend Edward Sanchez is in the race tomorrow. We saw him in E3 and also Talon Drake in the LCQ. So we're gonna hopefully spot Talon through the duel, and that we'll just all three of us will work together tomorrow in the duel, and just hopefully try and get away up front, get us all in the race, and then we can all kind of focus in on Sunday. But yeah, for sure. But just try and get my teammates in there, for Sunday. But yeah, now Sunday, just I'm in the race now, so. I mean, it's not a bad it's not a bad thing. In the race now, I already made profit from all these, so that's really what I was worried. I just want to profit because I spent so much money for 4 different 500s over the past 2 weeks. So I'm glad one of them is going at least well. Hopefully, we'll bring in Sunday, maybe get a top 10 and walk away with a little bit more. But so just try and just get my teammates in for Sunday, really, and just try and survive Sunday. Just the goal was to survive tonight. I thought I didn't survive, but I got through the big one, and anything can happen on super speedway. Just like they like to call it high stakes gambling at 190 miles an hour. So, just try to survive. That's gonna be my goal.
Survive is what you did tonight. Obviously, an unprecedented ending to this pole shootout race. After, of course, the win in the heat race, now you go technically second in this pole shootout. You'll start second on Sunday afternoon in what's been a wild roller coaster of a week so far for you. Before we let you go to get prepped for tomorrow and also for the Sunday afternoon feature, I do want to give you an opportunity. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I gotta thank my spotter up in the booth tonight. It was Edward Sanchez helped me tonight, spot me through the night. He's just cut off a shift to work, so came after work and just spotted me through tonight. Just try to help me all race long. Hopefully we can work within the wire. I gotta thank all the viewers for tuning in tonight. All the fans in the chat. I gotta thank everyone for showing up, putting on a good race tonight. I gotta thank you guys for the broadcast, of course.
Well, Aaron, thank you for talking to us. Congratulations on the second place finish technically in tonight's pole shootout. Obviously, still trying to process that, and you'll start second Sunday afternoon in the PGR 500. Good luck tomorrow in your dual race. Good luck Sunday in the PGR 500. We'll see if we're talking to you at the end of things, potentially in victory lane in that one on Sunday. Good luck the rest of the way.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
Aaron Brown is, again, officially the second place finisher tonight from Daytona. Well, we have some things to go back over. Again, if you're just joining us, you saw the final results. Kyler Wynn, Jackson Byes, and Kenny Reel were technically the top 3 cars to come across the start-finish line in tonight's race. Post-race review revealed Kenny Reel as a cause of caution in turn 3, which, again, we went back and watched the replay. I think that is the call that race control had to make on that incident. So Kenny Reel is disqualified for that. But then the top 2, and Kyler Wynn and Jackson Byes, also disqualified from tonight's race for some illegal team communications. Of course, those two are traditionally teammates. And unfortunately for those two, they got busted tonight trying to work together in this race to work onto the front row. So The ramifications of that, of course, are those two will no longer start on the front row. Do want to go ahead and quickly apologize for interviewing Kyler Wynn. Again, that call was not relayed to me until about 2/3 of the way through Kyler Wynn's winning interview, which, again, weird things happen on live TV, so I completely understand. But, man, what a weird situation to be mid-interview and be told that the results have completely changed. So Win buys real disqualified tonight. Again, if you're just joining us, you did not catch it. James Bomar will be the man on pole for Sunday afternoon's feature in the PGR 500. Aaron Brown will start to his outside in second. Those results are completely official according to Race Control. Those are the two men that have locked in. It is done and over with for Bomar and Brown. What a chaotic night from Daytona. I think even far more chaotic than we had anticipated, both during and post-race here tonight and under the lights for the first time at the World Center of Racing. But at the end of the day, again, it's James Bomar and Aaron Brown that will be your front row starters for the PGR 500. Two guys that I personally did not have circled to be in those starting positions. But again, that's what the wrinkle of the pole shootout provides, is that those two had an opportunity to put themselves on pole. It did not come down to who ran the best qualifying time and who nailed their line the best. It came down to who won in an elbows out, full intensity, 35-lap war. And that's exactly what we got tonight at Daytona. Big blocks, big moves, big crashes, a ton of chaos. We wondered if it would live up to the billing that it got all week. Folks, I think it did. I think it did just that. It lived up to the billing, and now we have our front row starters for Sunday afternoon's feature event. Well, the weekday portion of the event is now concluded. We will move now into what I am going to call tomorrow Elimination Saturday of the PGR 500, where the most drivers will be sent home, and we will whittle down the field that will contest 200 laps and 500 miles on Sunday afternoon. Action kicks off tomorrow with last chance qualifier race number 1. That race will go green just after 12 o'clock noon on the East Coast, right back here on PGR eSports. We'll have the two last chance qualifiers at 12 and 1. We'll then take a short break after the conclusion of last chance qualifier number 2 as the dual fields get officially set in case any review is needed. Then we'll come back to Daytona at 4 o'clock for dual race number 1 tomorrow night. Those will be at 4 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, as again, we will whittle the field down from just over 100 to the 43 that will start on Sunday afternoon. Tomorrow will be a wild day, just like tonight was. Tomorrow, even more so as we set the grid for Sunday afternoon's Great American Sim Race. We can't wait to get to that point, and glad to see you all along with us tonight, and hope to see you all back tomorrow again for Elimination Saturday. You see the schedule there. Go ahead and snap a picture of it and get ready, because tomorrow is going to be edge of your seat action basically all day long before the granddaddy of them all on Sunday afternoon. We're going to wrap things up now from Daytona and start to look forward to tomorrow as guys will prep for their LCQs and for their duels. Tomorrow we set the field. 2 days remain in the PGR 500, and tomorrow we will set the grid of 43 men that will contest the biggest sim racing super speedway event of the year come Sunday afternoon. Tonight it is total chaos from Daytona over 35 laps. At the end of the day, it is James Bomar and Aaron Brown that will bring the field to the green flag when Barney the Flagman gives them the command to start on Sunday at noon. And until then, those two will kick back everyone else now set to go run in dual races. My name is Dawson Wise. You've been watching this production of PGR eSports coverage of the Pole Shootout race for the PGR 500. I want to thank my producer downstairs, Christian Hill, for the hard work that he did trying to follow all of the craziness happening on the racetrack over the course of the last 35 laps. I want to thank him for his work all week as well, and we will rendezvous back with him tomorrow for LCQ and dual action. We hope to see you back then. Thanks so much for watching tonight on PGR eSports. Hope to see you back tomorrow for Elimination Saturday of the PGR 500 as the road to the Great American Sim Race continues. Until then, everybody have a great night. We will see you right back here, bright and early tomorrow.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
When you're looking for a setup and a community that stands behind it. Team Watson Racing Setups. Serious setups. For drivers who are done guessing.